welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm your host Shinry, here at the Everything Anime Podcast, talking from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and whatever on the topic I'm talking about. Today's video is on Dr. Stone chapters 198 to 201. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to title it yet, but where we end off and what we learn in these couple of chapters are really, really cool. So we last left off in Dr. Stone in chapter 197. We found out the true power of the Medusa weapon is basically making people immortal. Not exactly like immortal bodies, but the fact that you can survive death. Because Hyoga died before the petrification light hit him. But once the petrification light hit him and they revived everybody, Hyoga came back to life. So it can revive the dead. It can't revive you, it can't save you from old age. You still can die of old age, but you cannot die thanks to the Medusa weapon. So that was a crazy, crazy reveal. What that means from here on, I have no idea. And as Dr. Stone said, if people find out about this, that you can basically survive, we can now, you can survive the Medusa, you can survive being killed with the Medusa's light. It can be abused, and people could like take control of that. So we can't have that happen. It also could be implying that, like, if you're... Oh, yeah, I've already talked about this. Because what I was about to re-mention was... Oh, my theory is that the Y-Man... I don't think he died, but he might have been, like, somehow, like, the same way we've self-preserved for over... Well, I don't know, because he also... I originally thought the Y-Man had preserved himself, for 3,700 years, however long we've been petrified for... And had self-revived at this moment, like in this current time, like 7 years ago. Because Sukiya, we're now 7 years into the future. But he also was around to repetrify the earth whenever, like, Matsukaze and Genro's family were alive, like, during their ancestors' time. So we don't even know how old the Y-Man is and, like, how he's been self-reviving. But that's what I mean. It's insane to think, like, how has the Y-Man been... The way Kaseki said it, was that, like, you know, he'll never die. It'd be over old people. But at the same time, they're like, you can still die of old age, but we would just petrify you and unpetrify you later. So I don't know. There's still a lot of mysteries about, like, this whole reveal about immortality. So we're too early to speculate. We still don't know. There's still, like, 33 something chapters left. 31. So hopefully we get more explanation. And I'm pretty sure we will, because Dr. Stone has been a great manga so far. But either way, before we get any answers, we're going to have to confront the White Man on the moon ourselves. But to get to the moon, we still need our second greatest mind in the world and former member of NASA. That's right, we have to bring back Zeno. If we are going to create a spaceship, who better to use than somebody that formerly worked at NASA? And before anyone can ask, because they're all protesting, like, hey, we bring Zeno back. That's a bad idea. Like, Zeno just tried to kill us. Zeno standing aside his whole team, they try to take us out. Well, before, like, anybody can say anything, Senku's already reviving him, because, like, we know that's Senku's thing. And I love that Senku's, like, pouring the rope fluid over him with a giant smile on his face. And Tsukasa's in the background, like, don't worry, it'll be fine. As he said, like, before, when they were like, Tsukasa, like, how are we going to deal with this? He's like, it'll be fine. They're like, Tsukasa, but he's like, it'll be fine. I'll protect everybody. Plus, he doesn't have Stanley Strider currently on his side. Like, the rest of Zeno's crew is still petrified. We just unpetrified Zeno. So as long as Zeno doesn't have Stanley Strider, Zeno's not going to make a move. Zeno's not strong on his own. Now, meanwhile, Zeno and Chrome are excited about the start of immortality. Tsukasa sees it differently. Oh, this is where we had that conversation. I was getting ahead of my notes. Tsukasa says the world will simply be overrun by the elderly, and the population will be far too big for this planet. If everybody finds out they can survive and that they have an immortal body, the earth will be overrun with humans. Like, it's natural for humans to die, pass on, become dirt, become the grass, and the animals eat it. Circle of life, basically, as I said in Lion King. And also, it will lead to a massive loss of resources, food, shelter, you name it. It'll be chaos. If no one in the world could die, like if Adam and Eve didn't eat that apple, I mean, I don't know if we'd create that many humans, but, like, the world would be overrun if we had an immortal body. Now, heaven's a different place. That's a whole different plane. So is hell. But Earth cannot handle that. And I guess that makes Thanos seem like he'd be right in this universe. Thanos would be like, half the population wiped out. God, the Y-Man is Thanos, before Thanos was a thing. The Y-Man, what Thanos was, I don't know. I'm just playing around. I know Thanos existed in the comics. Don't come for me in the comments. I'm just playing around. Zeno, however, is still interested in abusing the Medusa's power as a dictator. He challenged them that without even knowing. He challenged them like, if you know that I'm going to, once I get my hand on the Medusa, and once I figure out how to replicate it like Joel did, once I know how to do that and make myself immortal, I'm going to betray you guys. Are you still willing to keep me around? And they're like, yeah, we still need you to get to the moon. We need your help to take out the White Man. Because I think Senku or Chrome brings this up. The White Man is also still sending his why messages to Senku and the White Man since sending the why message to Senku, he now has sent that message of 1 second the whole diameter of Earth, basically. So as long as the White Man is out there, it don't matter, Zeno, if you betray us or not. He's going to repetrify the Earth. And unless you got a plan, unless you got a way to unpetrify yourself again, it's going to happen. So we have to team up and take out the White Man because he's going to keep sending down. He's going to keep raining down those Medusa weapons, and we're not going to have a way to stop him. So, and besides, if Sukiya didn't unpetrify for 7 years and she didn't figure out how to create a revival former at all, we would all be petrified. So we got lucky, okay? Zeno, we got lucky. Do not betray us. The White Man currently believes that he won. He knows he repetrified the Earth the second time. He knows it succeeded, but he doesn't know that we survived. So right now, we have the upper hand of the White Man. It's been a game of chess, or not checkers, chess, check, and eventually we went to checkmate when we get to the White Man himself. So if Zeno wants to rule the world as a dictator, it can only happen after they take down the White Man together. So Senku's like, oh, it'll be fine. Once they take down the White Man, you can try to take over the world again. It don't matter to us. But at that point, again, we're not going to let Zeno do that. But if we even give Zeno the idea that he can do that, it's better for us because he'll be willing to work with us. So now that we've got Zeno to agree to team up with us, we finally have the team up we've been waiting for. Zeno and Senku are going to create the spaceship together. And I was like, this is incredible. This is exciting because, yes, this is what we've been hyping up and waiting for. Now, again, there's still 30 chapters left, so I don't know if we're going to get to the moon. I don't know if it's going to be a moon arc. I don't know yet. But with Zeno's help, the first thing we create is a Geiger counter to search for ore cores. I had no idea what this was. I'm not gonna pretend like I did know, but it's the first step we need to create Super Alloy City. So basically, it's like a metal detector, but for like ores, like special minerals and rocks and things like that. But we also need a special metal and resource. And thankfully, we have the Perseus. I almost said Pegasus. I'm thinking of Hercules. We have the Perseus because we need metal. And the only metal we have is the Perseus from our ship. Though it sank to the bottom of the sea after 7 years and has rusted. Now, one thing I do know about ships is you do have to clean the bottom of the ship. Keep it free of debris and all that. Otherwise, the ship will sink. A ship does not just stay above the water, just stay above the water. You do have to clean the ships. So it does make sense that if no one was maintenance in the Perseus for 7 years, it sank to the bottom of the ocean. Kaseki is the first one pumped up to revive it, but then is immediately disheartened at the sight of our Kingdom of Science, tearing it down and apart, which I found pretty funny because everything in science is recycled. Like, if we no longer need rubber, we're going to break down rubber, we're going to turn it into something else. If we no longer need a refrigerator, we're going to break down the refrigerator and turn it into something else. I love that science has proven that, recycling is what we do. And we do that now in present day. When you dump your cans and sodas and stuff like that, we recycle that. When you turn your garbage, when you throw away your garbage and take it to the dump, we turn it into biofuel. I love things like that, and I love that we're experimenting with that. Well, I might have also skipped ahead of something else. I'm again ahead of my notes sometimes. I'm ahead of my notes. But after some time of experimenting, we finally get our hands on stainless steel. So we turned the purchase, melted it down, and turned it into stainless steel. So that's our first thing we do. And what's the first thing we create with our new stainless steel? What's the next material that we make? Now, hilariously, I had no idea it was going to be this, and hilariously, I never saw this coming. It's canned goods, which hilariously everyone says is boring until they realize that they can store food and it can last for an extended period of time and used to feed millions of people, which we need to create our spaceship. Because Senku said back in Corn City in North America, he's like, revive 1 million people. And if we do that, Francios can feed 1 million people on her own. We need restaurants and stuff like that. But if we and then we're going to go up to space. So if we're going to do all this, we do need food that can last a long period of time. So I was like, canned goods. That's so hilarious. And then the crew's like, what? That's mind blowing. Again, really great because this is stuff that we have in present day that we don't think about. Canned goods. Even now in movies post-apocalypse movies with zombies and stuff like that, people are always like, oh, I found a can of beans. I found a can of corn. I found a can of meat. Like this and that. There's always talking about canned food. So I find it really, really creative. Again, this author is so fucking incredibly smart. And then, since we need more people, we start reviving Zeno's allies. We don't revive Stanley Snyder. I checked all through the pages. Stanley Snyder is not one of the ones revived. We revived the rest of Stanley's crew because, like, or Zeno's crew, because we're like, hey, we need y'all guys. We need you to team up with us. Zeno's on our side, and you know, like, they follow Zeno, so they're like, oh, Zeno's cool with them. All right, let's do this. But we didn't just revive them out of the kindness of our hearts. We need them to split up the work. As Senku says, you know, we need as many people as we can, many hands on deck. Zeno's team is going to work on building the rocket's engine, while our Kingdom of Science is going to work on building a new ship. So we're building the Perseus 2, while Zeno's crew, who worked at NASA and are familiar with NASA protocols and things like that, you guys are going to work on the spaceships themselves. Zeno says that he will be the scientist of darkness, while Senku is the scientist of light. There are some things in the dark that require a dark method of science, even for life to progress. And we do know that because in present day, you know, scientists are experimenting on things all the time, you know. I'm not going to get into exactly, like guns, for example. Guns could be a dark version of science, but it can be used to protect yourself, wound animals, etc., you know, like that. But it can also be used to kill, which is why it's dark. There are other things like science, like medicine. Like, you know, certain medicines, you got to play around with diseases and things like that, get people sick and then heal them. There's a lot of things in dark science, basically. But, like, you know, there are things like that happen in present day, basically, what I'm trying to say. Because if the Kingdom of Science has taught us anything, it's that we need everyone to progress. And better yet, matter of fact, if you read my book, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku, this is a little book insert, self-plug promotion. In one of the chapters, Shobu is talking to his father Shabu, who woke up in the middle of the night after having a nightmare, and he's asking his father, like, why does the dark civilization exist? And Shabu basically says something similar to this, like, oh, sometimes, you know, the light needs things done in the dark to help us advance. So and my friend complimented me on that chapter, on that part of the chapter. He's like, that was really good when he read it, because my first reader, his name was Mark. I love you, Mark. Thank you for reading my book and believing in me. But yeah, so we do know that now these days that there are things that are dark that are necessary for us to advance. And thanks for them to choosing to work together, Super Alloy City is founded. That went way faster and quicker than I expected, but then again, we founded Corn City almost immediately after taking over Zeno's base. And since we just had a whole battle against Stanley Snyder's crew, we survived for 7 years. It does make sense that, like, now we have Super Alloy City built. Now, as we prepare to make a new ship for the Perseus 2, Charlotte asks a good question. How are we going to get oil to fuel the ship, since we no longer have access to it back in Ishigami Village, back in Japan? We don't know where oil is in this part of Africa. We're not even North America. Zeno probably knew where oil was in North America. We know where oil is in Japan, but we're in South Africa right now. We don't know where oil is. And that's when Senku says that we're going to use a new kind of fuel, a fuel of the future, a fuel that we use in current and present day. And I was curious about this until I had realized it's our garbage. We turn garbage into biofuel. The waste that we produce and we take to the garbage can, they burn all that and they turn it into biofuel. And so I thought it was really cool. I was like, oh, this is something that I do know that we do in present day. We use biofuel to this day. But we're going to need a tank to hold all that biofuel in because, you know, it can make you sick. You know, humans can't breathe in that kind of air, that toxic air. Now, while you might think it would take Kaseki and Senku a while to make this, and you would think it would take Senku and Kaseki a while to make this, like, tube that's going to contain this biofuel, but they make it hilariously in the next page, which gets hilarious reactions from Gen and Suki. And they're like, what? It's already done? Again, when Kaseki gets pumped up, he goes Super Saiyan, he goes butt naked, so we should saw that coming. But I love it. Then we get a 6-month montage of both groups working together. Zeno on the rocket ship engine, and then Senku on the Perseus 2. So it's a way to do like the time skips, like how we did like when they went on winter break and then they went on summer break, you know, things like that. So I really love these because it shows like a passage of time without like dragging it out. And after 6 long months, Zeno's team acquires their first beta engine. It's going to take to level 99 to get to the moon, and we have engine 1 right now, which is why we're splitting up into a third team. But I will say, the power of this engine and the way this author draws it was fucking incredible, because you would think this engine is strong. While we know it's probably not strong to get to the moon, if it's our first beta engine, your first engine's never going to be the one that works the best. But it was still pretty cool to see it in the way he showed how powerful it was in the panels. Now, The three teams are going to be split up, and we're going to go over them. The first team is going to stay in Super Alloy City working on the rocket engine. Their most notable characters being Zeno, Maya, Tsukasa, Genro, and Matsukaze. Matsukaze and Genro and Tsukasa are basically going to watch over Zeno, make sure he don't bring back Stanley Snyder. We ain't having that happen. The second team's job is to head back to Corn City in North America and revive 1 million people, because back in Corn City, our people aren't revived yet. We have to go back there and wake them up and then revive the 1 million people. The most notable on this team being Taiju, Yukio, Hyoga, Max, Carlos, and Luna. I love that Taiju's going back there because Yuzu is there. He didn't get to say goodbye to her. And then, we got Hyoga and Yukio as our fighters. And then Max, Carlos, and Luna. If Luna goes, she's a doctor, but also as well, Max and Carlos are going to follow Luna to the ends of the earth. So I love that they stayed with her. That team made sense. And the final team is Senku's team, and their job is to establish the remaining cities we need. And then we have all of our remaining favorite characters. Now, that was curious because I had forgotten that we did need more cities. I forgot even the names of the other cities. I don't even know what the next city we're building. I mean, I think it said at the end, but I had forgot at this point, like, what? I was like, oh, yeah, there are more cities we need to make in order to build this rocket. Now, meanwhile, our team is establishing the new cities. We'll be traveling in style as we have the Perseus 2 up and running, powered by the Rocket Beta Engine 1. And this was, a complete epic panel as the ship just takes off and they go flying. It just shows, again, how powerful this new ship is. And we're going to get more into detail about that. But I just love it. Even all the characters are like, whoa! It's like driving in a space, I was almost at a space car, almost like a NASCAR kind of car. And it's not just a newer boat, but it's 5 times faster. The Perseus originally took us 40 days to get across the Pacific Ocean, whereas with this engine, we can do it in a week. Now, that might still seem like a long time, but that is a huge and different gap in time. I spent 1 week compared to 40 days, a month and 10 days. That is a completely different time change. And so we can tell these characters, they're going to be flying from here on. I also love that Chrome is crying, realizing how far they've come from just collecting rocks to where they are now. Like, Chrome, again, is my favorite character once we do the tier list. And I know I keep talking about the tier list, but don't do it once we finish Dr. Stone. But yes, I love it. Chrome is my favorite character, and I love how humble he is. He's like, man, we've come so far since we started. This is amazing. Science is incredible. Science is elegant, as Zeno would say. There is also a proven fact here that the group is enjoying the cool breeze and as they're speeding through, and that is until they reach the equator, which I know is the hottest part of Earth. They're like burning up. So at first they're like, "Woo, this is a nice breeze," and then the next panel over, they're like burning up. Like, why is it so hot right now? And then because Senku's like, "Oh yeah, we're at the equator, which is the hottest point of Earth," which I learned that back in elementary school. I thought that was kind of cool. So I don't know how people live on I don't know if people live on the equator. I'm pretty sure somebody does. Like, I'm pretty sure like a part of the continents are there, but like, woo, man, that must go crazy. Now, I thought the next thing we'll create would be sunscreen because, we're dealing with the heat. But instead, we create AC, which is easy because we previously had built a freezer when we had to save Tsukasa, which is another great thing. Like, it's just something we have in present day that you would forget about reading Dr. Stone. Like, oh, yeah, they haven't built that yet. I really love that. That's, the reveals in Dr. Stone are so good, how they slowly get back to modern day. And everything we create is a necessary need. It's not like a want, it's a need. We're thinking a montage of everyone learning Morse code to stay in touch with each other and keep each other updated in secret. That's because the Y-Man is still out there and can hijack our frequency again. The Y-Man hacked our frequency back when we first left Ichigami Village and we learned the why. And then he hacked us again in the Kingdom of Petrification whenever we had found out he was sending that 1 second, the whole diameter of Earth. If he had petrified us all over again back then, we would have all lost. There would have been no way to save ourselves. We weren't ready for that. I also love, again, that Chrome points out to the rest of the group that he's figured out, Chrome points something out to the rest of the group, and I figured it out before ever turning the page. Again, this is why I love Chrome. Chrome is my favorite character. And what you know it, the Y-Man has sent us a third message. Perhaps this is where we might learn a little something more about him. So Chrome was like, hey, if we keep sending Morse code messages, even though we're sending Morse code messages, the Y-Man has hijacked us before. He's going to hijack us again, so he might send out another message. And then Senku was like, oh, don't worry about that. He'll never break through our code. But there was a third message that the Y-Man was sending, and this is what he said. At first, Senku, Gen, and Ryusei aren't surprised at all. They're like, oh, it's guerrilla warfare. Of course, he would hijack our radio waves, but there's no other way to communicate with each other, so let's hear what the Y-Man had to say. But Chrome makes this serious face, and I love this panel with him. He's like, no, you don't understand. He's sending this message in English. I can only break it down word by word. And can you guess what he said? it was like so mouth dropping. He says to Senku, "Do you want to die?" Bitch, I was gagged. I was like, oh, the white man's sending threats now. The white man's like, I killed you once. I know I warned you once. Like, why? And you didn't listen to me. Then I tried to petrify Earth the second time, and you got away. I petrified Earth the third time. It worked. I petrified all of you, and now you escaped again, and you still out there? He's like, oh no. Because they're talking over the radio. They're talking over the radio waves using Morse code. The white man's aware. It don't matter what they're saying. It don't matter if you can't understand them. He knows that they survived that petrification light. He, again, saw a petrification light surround Earth. He thought he had won a second time, but they beat him a second time, so he's getting pissed off. This not only gets Senku hyped up, but even more to know who this guy is and what's his motivation. But the rest of the characters are shocked. They're kind of like scared. But Senku's like, oh yeah, it's on now. But despite the white man is aware we survived again, Gen is confident that he won't rain down Medusa weapons on us just yet because he's too cocky. Gen's like, oh, the white man, he could send the Medusa weapons down on us anytime he wanted, but he hasn't done that yet. And the reason why is he probably feels like too cocky. He's probably like, you'll never make it to the moon, so I got all the time in the world to repetrify yourselves, or I might let you all die out again. Who knows? He might wait like 100 years, and they'd be like, oh yeah, they should be dead by now. Let me go ahead and repetrify Earth again. Which is fine by us because it gives us plenty of time to prepare our ship to do what we have to do to travel to the other 3 locations to craft 3 new materials. So there are 3 new locations that we need to go to. The first one is going to be in Spain. Our first stop is Spain. And the 3 things we need to build in order to get to the moon are our space suits, and our rocket engine, which we have Team Zeno building. So right now we're traveling to the other destinations to find spacesuits material and spacesuits material. What was that? How did I forget? Spaceships material, spacesuits, and a rocket ship. Okay. I don't know why. I'm getting tongue twisted. Let me drink some water. I also love this final panel of the moon overlooking the Earth. It makes it look very menacing, like the white man is like glaring down at us. And I thought that was a very incredible shot, an incredible way to end all the chapters. So that's actually where I stopped my notes. Speculation from here, the white man is probably going to send us one more message. I think we'll get one more message before we get to the moon, because I feel like if the white man talks too much, it takes away the mystery. We got enough. We got the first message, the why? So we know he was pissed off. And it's great to call him the white man. That's a great mystery. The second thing we know is that he is not a good guy because he wanted to repetrify the Earth again 1 second. And then the third message we got is, do you want to die? So we know he's an antagonist for sure. He is not doing this for the benefit of Earth. He's not doing this to be a hero. Whatever he has is malicious intent, and I cannot wait to figure out why. So speculation. I hope we're not too long in Spain or the other 2 locations. I don't know if we'll run into new enemies. We didn't really run into new enemies because Zeno's team had self-survived in North America the same way Senku did. So I'm not sure what we're going to encounter next. But I'm very excited, and I cannot wait to get to the moon. I cannot wait to find out who the white man is. My speculation is that it might be Senku's father, because out of all the characters we met, we know Byakuya adopted Senku from his best friend. And we've never seen Senku's father's face, and Senku doesn't care because he's like, my father's Byakuya, which is great. I love that. You guys know that. But either way, that's all I got for now. I don't want to drag this video out for too long, so I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll talk to you later. Bye.